Number 985, check your
I know, it's so embarrassing, I know.
Terrible. I'm Amy Margolis. I'm a neuropsychologist and associate professor at Columbia University, and I study children's development.
And you've had a lot of experience around flying trapeze schools
Yes.
over the course of your adult
Right,
life,
so
is that right?
yes, 2 of my 3 children love flying trapeze, and I watched as they grew up that this really helped them develop their self-confidence, their ability to try new things, also to develop peer relationships, to learn to work in a group. One kid actually ended up on a trapeze team that was all student run. They worked the board for each other, they caught for each other, and they really learned when they were in high school how to operate as an individual, as a group.
So like very close to home, right? Obviously,
Yes.
they lived in your home.
Right.
But do you think
I'm super interested in how bringing these kind of opportunities to kids who don't always have this kind of opportunity could be helpful. So for example, in one of our recent papers, we saw that kids did better in the pandemic when they had more access to outdoor space, when they had more access to exercise. And so trapeze is exercise and outdoors. And they also, and when I mean do better, I mean they had less stress that they reported or that their parents reported about them. And really very few things helped. But that was a big one. And I think even though we're not in a pandemic right now, there's a lot we can learn, that if you can bring more out exercise and more outdoor time, especially with peers, you're going to help develop the child's social and learning capacities.
And, one of the things I've always loved about this is that it ends up being a physical application or a sport for kids who typically resist doing team sports or conventional sports.
Right. Yes.
And when kids sometimes feel marginalized from those activities, it creates a lot of the anxiety, the loneliness, the stress in a social environment as they're growing up. And it always feels really good for me to see kids thrive in this environment.
Right. And one thing about trapeze is there's no winning or losing. There's no points. It's not a team sport. It's not an individual sport. It's just an activity.
Yep.
And it also allows you to face your fears, try new things, learn from your peers and others.
Yeah.
I'm also very interested in that because one of the disorders that I study is about visual spatial problems called nonverbal learning disability, which you may have heard about recently because Tim Walsh's son, everybody was really interested in how he was reacting to his dad, and his parents talked about in the newspapers that he has nonverbal learning disability and ADHD and anxiety. And I study nonverbal learning disability, and these kids actually have trouble with visual spatial learning. And I think trapeze could be an incredible experience for them.
Yeah, we certainly have kids who have proprioception challenges and balance challenges.
Right. These might be our kids with nonverbal learning disability. We don't really know. We haven't studied them nearly enough. And our prevalence paper showed in JAMA Network Open a few years ago, probably 3 million kids in North America have this.
Yeah.
And are undiagnosed.
Yeah, we're seeing young boys who, for the first time in their whole childhood, are able to be physical and athletic in a non-contact and non-competitive way.
Right.
And it's something that we're really proud of because we think that by offering this functional fitness layered in with supporting one another in a structured environment, it reduces a lot of the problems that were created when we were growing up by having the little chubby kid climb the rope and burn his fingers on the way down, or having the biggest kid on the field running headfirst into the smallest kid.
Right.
Really give them a reason to be seeing, celebrating, and supporting each other and themselves.
I'm also thinking by doing the activities, they may actually learn visual spatial skills.
Yeah, certainly.
That's what I would be very interested to see and follow kids over time. So if they start out having trouble knowing which direction to go on the field, or their coordination is off and their proprioception is off, the more they do this, does that get better?
Yeah.
And what flows from that. So in our work, we've shown that these visual spatial problems underlie a lot of the social problems kids have, or their math problems, or their executive functioning challenges. And so if we can improve the visual spatial, the question is, do those downstream problems get better?
Yeah.
And this may be one of our treatment approaches.
I think so. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Amy Margolis.
Nice to meet you.
That's good, right?
Yeah, I think